Hi everyone! It's been a little while, but I'm so glad to be back with you today in Geegaw's greenhouse. My name is Heather, for those of you who are new, and this was my grandpa's greenhouse. I love it in here, and I'm so glad to be in here with you today. Gardening is exciting and it's a new hobby for me. It's one that my grandpa cultivated, and my grandma too, over years on this property. My husband and I have been working, my husband mainly, Jeff, for those of you who know him, has been working really hard in reclaiming the area, the land, like pruning back bushes and shrubs and building new raised beds. And it's really incredible to see what we can do with this land that is now ours. But an old hobby of mine is reading, and a lot of what I've been learning about gardening has been through some amazing books. And I wanted to share those amazing books with you today, or some of them, in case you have someone on your Christmas list who is a gardener or who might be a new gardener. And these books have been really helpful for me, really fun to read. Some have been for entertainment and some have been for instruction. And I have them here with me in the greenhouse. And I wanted to come back in the greenhouse anyway and kind of just check in on things, because I've been pretty dormant in my gardening experience. This channel has been dormant, not dead, but I've just been feeling kind of quiet about it, and I get this weird thing where, I'm gonna put my books down. After things are going really well, like in July, I kind of like give up on gardening a little bit, and I want to try to break that habit. I don't know what it is. I think it's like things are doing well and I feel like they can continue on their own and we're getting harvests, and then I like give up on it, like I said, and that leaves Jeff with a lot of follow through to complete the vision for us. And anyway, it's something I'm working on, but it's something I wanted to share with you too, in case that is something that you are frustrated with, or maybe it's just this new garden experience. I think that's partly it for me. I want to be able to extend my, I guess, interest and focus with it for longer. All that just to be said, it's been a little while since I've been in the greenhouse, and since I've brought you along with the since I've brought you into the greenhouse with me. So I thought it would be nice just to kind of sweep up the floor a little bit, get it feeling nice and prepped, and I don't know, I guess before you know it, we'll be planting in here again. We had an incredible tomato harvest yield of sun gold tomatoes. Those are the little tiny cherry ones. Cucumbers, and a lot of unexpected successes really with basil, as you may have seen in some previous videos. But it's cold now and it's dormant, and all of the beds are cleared out. Jeff did all of that, the clearing out, and we had tomatoes all the way into December, really. I mean, we picked them at the end of October, but maybe beginning of November, and we've just been eating them down. And I just sliced up the last red one today, or maybe yesterday. But all of the tomato cages are here, taking a little nap until they're ready to be used for next time. So anyway, I love the winter, and I love how cold it is for our area right here. And though we don't get any snow, it still feels like winter, and there's still kind of this natural rhythm to winter that I really embrace wholeheartedly, and would encourage you to do so if you haven't already. You may hear Marble barking. That's our little dog. I think he's protecting me from the dogs who are barking down the way, and those dogs are barking, I think, at me. So, okay, well, let's get started with some of the books. The first book I want to share with you is called Vegetable Gardening in the Pacific Northwest, and I got this in an amazing local bookstore, and it's like, I guess, let's see, how do I talk about this book? It's broken down by month, of what you need to do month by month, and that was so helpful for me, someone who wanted to start out gardening but really didn't know what to do. There's this whole section on get started, and so they give you some like background on how to prepare your garden for what climate you're in or what zone you're in, and they kind of help you figure that out as well. There's some gardening 101 tips, and then so that's all this whole gray section. And then the green section is when to get planting, and when do you plant what and how. And that's what this book kind of breaks it down with. So for example, in January, they give you this kind of like rundown of welcome to the new year. Here's what you should be doing at the time of reading this. And so they have to do this month: plan, prepare and maintain, sow and plant, and harvesting now. And those are the same categories each month that really kind of help you at a glance look and see, like, what do I need to be doing, what do I need to be planting, and such. And then there's a couple of pages within that month's chapter that give you helpful tips of specific either like techniques to be doing or ways to grow like prominent plants at that time. And then it also says, and that's it really, and it's just like a few pages, and then it says February, and it says the same things: plan, prepare, and maintain, and sow and plant, harvesting now. And then like for February, like it says, stock up on garden tools, and like here are some things that you might want to consider using in your garden. So there's 12 of those for each month. And then at the back, it also has edibles A to Z. So meaning what plants grow when. And here's what I really love about this. It shows month by month what are you supposed to be planting? I think that's green. No, planting is gray and harvesting is green. So that, you know, for arugula, for example, you are harvesting arugula January, February, partway through March, but you're planting it in February, March, April, May, and June for all of these kind of cyclical harvests. And that goes through a couple pages of that. And then it gets to the plant itself. For example, artichokes is first, and all the way down to whatever is last, probably winter squash, which is. And it tells you how to grow it and what it's good for. And so this is a really fantastic book, Gardening, Vegetable Gardening, Pacific Northwest. I have been trying to find one that's like flower gardening for the Pacific Northwest. So if you know of this, of another one but it's like for flower gardening, please tell me about it, because I just can't seem to find it. Maybe it's not from this publisher, or, you know, I don't know. I've done some research, but let me know, please, because I'd love to get into flower gardening a little bit more. But this has been so helpful for me starting out, and maybe you know someone who wants to get going with gardening, and the winter is a great time to give this to them, because that's kind of like maybe January, February, depending on where you are. In the Pacific Northwest, you can start early, you know, getting seeds and kind of getting your idea of your garden going. So check this out for someone on your wish list or on your gift list this year. Along similar lines of planning your garden, this book here, The Garden Awakening, is one that I have only read part of, but have really enjoyed the part that I have read so far. Anyway, this book is kind of about conceptualizing the physicality of your garden. So what is it going to look like? And then also kind of translating that into what is it going to feel like when you're there. So if you've read the book, the party book, I forget, The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker, that is what, this is really like that, but it's for gardening. So the Art of Gathering is for like creating intentional gatherings and get-togethers and spaces for socializing usually, but it can be any kind of gathering. And this is being really intentional with how you use your land, and how you can benefit it and how it can benefit you, and how it's this like coexistence thing. There's like a little bit of like spiritual woo-woo-ness that isn't for me, but I appreciate that in the sense that it's asking the reader to kind of consider how the garden is not just something to be tamed and not just something to grow like your vegetables in rows. Like it's this more organic creation that if you're listening to the earth and recognizing the limits and the capabilities of where your specific garden is, then the beautiful things can happen. So let me show you a little bit of the inside. Okay, so right away at the beginning here, a few pages, they have these beautiful illustrations, and it says restoring wellness. So it really right away kind of sets the tone for this holistic approach to gardening. And there's like I said, kind of like a spiritual background element to it, not religious, but like earthy, spiritual. And there are these beautiful paintings throughout. that really kind of put you in the mood. So anyway, what this first section is all about, I think I've read up to here, and it's all about kind of thinking of what design you might want to create for your garden and what elements are important things to consider. Like something I hadn't thought about until I read this book was maybe to have a space where you could go to your garden at nighttime when it's dark and to sit and experience the world when you don't normally. Or for example, a space for a fireplace to have, you know, the enjoyment of the fire, but also this idea of like energy release. And you can burn, you know, wood, or you could burn wishes or like something else, like just to have this energy release up into the world. So stuff like that, which I would never really have thought of in terms of creating my own garden space. But as we look to do that kind of in the upper level, over by where the rainwater is, I will be rereading this and finishing the book to consider that in our design process. This book also shares like common symbols. So if you plant like in a spiral, for example, versus a circle, versus a cross, or a star, or a hexagon, or whatever it is, like how these different shapes invite different feelings in, or invite different light in, or shadows, or just power, just different power that can come from the earth. So really kind of interesting book to think about if you're looking at how to shape your garden literally and how it can kind of shape your experience. Okay, next on the list of garden lovers, book lovers gifts is this book called American Grown, The Story of the White House Kitchen Garden and Gardeners Across America, and it's by Michelle Obama. And I picked this up at a thrift store, I think, or maybe a local bookstore as well. And as you may or may not know, Michelle Obama was instrumental in kind of creating this White House garden that extended beyond the White House and trying to help kids eat healthy food in schools. And so her thing was like garden and food, and kitchen garden is exactly what it sounds like. It's a garden that you would use to go get your food that you would then bring into the kitchen. Usually a kitchen garden is nearby. It's small, it's for the family, and it's for food. So I haven't read all of this either, I'll admit, but I thought it was fascinating. It just has a lot of history. It has has lots of pictures, and also just different seasonal activities that have happened at the White House, like traditionally, and that happened during the Obama eras. So if you're into Michelle Obama and you've read her other books, the one that she just wrote, I know is on a lot of people's lists as well, but I feel like this one is not as commonly known and can be a really fun surprise gift for anyone who really enjoys, again, gardening, reading, or Michelle Obama. And there's probably a high percentage of intersection with those interests as well. So here's another one for your list to give somebody for Christmas. I just also wanted to take a moment and look at this beautiful winter light in the greenhouse. Ugh, it's so pretty. Yeah, maybe I'll show you outside in a minute the light coming through the redwoods, because that is gorgeous too. I love this time of year. It's just so cold and like crisp. And like I said, we don't get snow where we live, but it does cool down, and some trees lose their leaves. And it's cool enough to wear a scarf and a cozy jacket, and I just love it. And what better time to cozy up with a good book. So wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying your winter as well, and that you're cozy. And if you have snow, enjoy it for me. I know it can be a hassle sometimes, but we don't get it. And so I just kind of am a little bit jealous of everybody who has snow right now. Okay, let's look at more books. Okay, I have 3 books left, and I think the next one I'm going to show you, one of my favorites about gardening, is this one called Bringing It to the Table by Wendell Berry. And actually, this is kind of more of like a collection of essays, which Wendell Berry is really famous for. He's done a lot of poetry. He's done a lot of essay writing, specifically on like kind of standing up for the rural farmer in America. And I read a wonderful article about his approach yesterday, actually. It was from 2019, but I read it yesterday, and it was saying how Wendell Berry is one of the few voices, few rural voices who can communicate with city voices. And I thought that was a really interesting idea because there isn't a huge intersection in our American culture of the rural and the urban in terms of having a dialogue. So anyway, Wendell Berry is awesome. If you have never read anything of his, I would pick up maybe a poem or something for starts. This one is a little like intense, but he's talking about farming and food and bringing it to the table, and how do you bring your kitchen garden inside and to have it bless your family and your home and your friends and your community. I'm looking at the table of contents, and it's broken off into several parts. So part 1 is farming, part 2 is farmers, part 3 is food. And titles of essays include things like Nature as Measure, Stupidity and Concentration, Agricultural Solutions for Agricultural Problems. That's all farming. Farmers, there are some essays titled Seven Amish Farmers, The Talent for Necessity, and Agriculture from the Roots Up. Some titles of essays from the food section are titled, they're excerpts from larger essay collections or novels that he's written. So he wrote a novel called Hannah Culture, so there's an essay, or I guess excerpt from that. There's another one titled The Pleasure of Eating, and he just gets real, and he doesn't beat you over the head with things, but he's firm nevertheless. And so he's kind of old school. He doesn't have a computer, he doesn't do tech, and he really resists the fast pace of life, and that's kind of his ethos. And a lot of people think, well, he's backwards, and I mean, not a lot, but critics would say that. But he nevertheless holds true to what he believes. He's Christian. He's like the kind of guy who has like lived in the same like place all his life, even though it's not true. He left and he taught in New York and he came back, but his heart is in Kentucky. That's where he currently lives. And I'm so excited to say I finally wrote him a letter yesterday, and I've been thinking about doing that forever because I know he likes writing letters, and my friend Casey in college wrote to him, and she got a letter back from him, and I think that's just so cool. So who knows if he'll write back or not, but I just wished him Merry Christmas, and I thanked him for the words and the wisdom that he has shared on the page, and that I have absorbed, and what a blessing it has been for so many people. So I just wanted to tell him that, and I don't know, maybe if you're inspired by that, you could write to one of your favorite writers. I wanted to do it before he died because I wanted to do that with Mary Oliver, but then she died and I never got a chance to. So seize the day, people. Anyway, Wendell Berry, Bring It to the Table. This is a great collection of kind of taking the gardening inside again, like to the home. So you might enjoy this. Okay, the last two I'm going to talk about together because they are kind of similar. The first one I'm going to start with is called Almost Amish. It's by Nancy Sleeth. And this one is really interesting and really good. It's talking about how you can just simplify your life. I don't agree with everything that she promotes or proposes in here, everything that she proposes, but there are a lot of really great points about just being more simple, living more seasonally, and centering your family at the crux of your life in your home and all of that good stuff. So it's fun. She's not Amish, but she and her husband and her family, she has a couple of kids, kind of refocus their lives after they realize they don't need so much stuff. And it doesn't always have to do with gardening, but gardening can be one avenue, and she kind of talks about that, of how when you grow your food and you know how to preserve your food, how that can be a huge component of satisfaction, I guess, or just having a simple life. And another one that I wanted to show is kind of similar, is called The Dirty Life, and this one is so good. I saved the best for last, everybody. This is by Kristen Kimball. This is the story of like city girl, great job, high heels, like goes to the country to interview this farmer, falls in love, like quits her job. It's like a Hallmark movie is her life. But anyway, it turns out really great, and it takes place kind of back east New York, Pennsylvania area, which obviously everyone, if you know me, know that I love that. And it's just kind of her journey and her, ultimately, I don't think it's a spoiler, her husband's journey of creating this life that they want to live through farming, through building a sustainable, community-based system for both livestock and crops, and kind of like a CSA, I guess, but like at the very beginning of that. Or I don't know when CSAs were a thing, but for them in their area, they were pioneers, and there wasn't this like community-based food system for them. So they followed their dreams, and it was a lot of hard work, and it's kind of the journey of the hard work to get to the end result. And it's hilarious, and it's like so good, and it's really real, and just her voice as a woman, and a woman who's falling in love, and a woman who's working really hard, and who is transitioning at a really pivotal point in her life. It just rings true in so many ways for me and for a lot of readers. And so it's not one, again, that I think tons of people know about, The Dirty Life, but it's like this type of book that, like, if you know it, and you love it. So this is a great gift to give for anyone who or likes a memoir, likes gardening, likes that kind of story of like transitioning from your one aspect of your life to a different aspect of your life, falling in love, doing like hard work. Yeah, it's good. So anyway, The Dirty Life. And this, I guess, concludes our short but sweet book talk for today. If you have any other recommendations, comment them down below, because I love to read and I'm starting to love to garden, and those two things are intersecting for me in a really beautiful way. So for me, I'd love to see what other books there are, but for this small community that is watching this as well, they would benefit from other great titles. So please comment those below, or if you've read one of these, say which one that you liked and what you got out of it, because I want to like encourage that and hear what you have to say. So, all right, thank you so much for watching this. I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas, this wonderful time of light in the season of darkness and coldness, and those two things are so beautiful together. And just like that little doggy out there, hi Marble, you want to come say hi to everybody? Come here, good boy. Come, let's say hi. Come here. Stay here. Oh, there he is. Oh, Marble says hello to everyone and Merry Christmas. Huh. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. And I hope to see you really soon. Bye. You want to show everybody the sun through the redwoods? Marble! He's going to help us. Come here. Come here, little doggy. Oh, he's so fast. He's so fast. Okay, there it is. Oh, gorgeous.